Hello everyone, welcome to Madrid Pulse. You got source of latest news events and everything happens in heart of Spain. This was Alexander Arnold's presentation. Just like Xabi Alonso did at his own unveiling not so long ago, Trent Alexander-Arnold, or simply Trent from today onwards, carefully constructed the image that his signing had been finalized weeks ago. The Englishman, aware of the immense respect he owes Liverpool, tried to maintain a tone that honored his past while embracing his new adventure. Yet, for all the planning and polish, it was his Spanish that gently betrayed him. It wasn't merely a handful of misplaced words, but rather a crafted narrative, delivered with enough fluency to show preparation and respect, though still unmistakably foreign. But before continue, make sure you have already subscribed for getting more Real Madrid updates. Let's dive in. There was effort behind every syllable, and that effort did not go unnoticed. After all, as Marca revealed back in October 2024, this transfer had been in the works for months, giving him plenty of time to study, prepare, and adapt to what awaited him in Madrid. His dedication to learning Spanish was not just a personal gesture, but one that resonated deeply with those at the very top of the club. Florentino really liked the fact that I spoke Spanish, Trent admitted with a smile, fully aware of the significance of such an impression on the Real Madrid president. It was a surprise, but I think it's a way to start at the club on the right foot. And in Madrid, first impressions matter. They often set the tone for a player's entire tenure, and Trent had no intention of misstepping. Despite the pageantry and the carefully curated presentation, there was no pretense when it came to his allegiances growing up. Alexander Arnold never claimed to have been a Real Madrid fan as a boy. He didn't attempt to rewrite his own history to fit the occasion. Born and raised in Liverpool, he was a Red through and through, shaped by the terraces of Anfield and the glory of the club's rich history. Yet, even within that truth, a bridge existed. That bridge was Xabi Alonso, the very man who now stood as his manager at Real Madrid. Alonso, one of the heroes of Liverpool's miraculous 2005 Champions League triumph in Istanbul, left an indelible mark on a young Trent. I grew up a Liverpool fan and I saw Xabi win that final, of course. I've spoken to Xabi a bit and told him he was an idol and working with him is a dream come true, Trent confessed. His eyes lit up as he spoke, not with rehearsed excitement, but with genuine admiration for a player who had shaped part of his own footballing journey. Yet it was not only Liverpool or Alonso that pulled him towards Madrid. Like many of his generation, he grew up watching Real Madrid dominate European football, with stars like David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, and countless Champions League triumphs creating an aura few clubs can match. I grew up watching Real Madrid win. I wanted to be part of that story. They're a team with the mentality to win titles, he said, fully aware of the expectations that now come with wearing the white shirt. For all Real Madrid players, Presentation Day brings a unique mixture of excitement and exhaustion. The day begins early, with a medical at Sanitas La Moraleja, followed by the formal signing at Valdebebas. Photographs, protocol, and the ever-present tension of joining the world's biggest club accompany them throughout the day. Even for seasoned professionals, the grandeur of Madrid can be overwhelming. The boardroom, the weight of 15 European Cups, and the awareness that few clubs demand and offer so much. Trent felt that pull instantly. I know people think Jude Bellingham was key to me coming here, but that's not the case. He's my friend, but Real Madrid doesn't need anyone to sell it. It's Real Madrid! The decision to leave Liverpool, however, was far from simple. I knew that if I was leaving Liverpool, it was only to come to Real Madrid. There was no other option. It wasn't easy, but in the end, I feel like I made the right decision. His words were steady, but there was a visible emotional undertone. After all, leaving behind the club that nurtured him from childhood is no trivial matter. Yet standing under the lights of the Santiago Bernabeu, he looked every bit like a man at peace with his choice. When the formalities concluded, it was time for him to introduce himself to Madridistas, in Spanish, no less. Standing beside Florentino Perez, who had earlier praised him as one of the world's best fullbacks, Trent surprised many with his composed delivery. The president had even joked with him about the Club World Cup, immediately setting the bar high. But Trent, used to the pressure of Anfield, was unfazed. "I'm used to being asked to win. I come from the biggest team in England," he declared. Now it was Madrid's turn to place those same expectations upon his shoulders. From Anfield to the Bernabeu, two of football's most iconic stadiums, two cauldrons of passion and expectation. "Here, you'll experience things that are hard to understand," Florentino had told him. Trent, who had only ever known Liverpool, was now beginning a chapter in the world's most demanding football environment. And in doing so, he decided on a small personal rebrand. "When I travel around Europe, I realize the name is complicated. People call me many things, and for this season I thought I'd make it simpler. So Trent, shorter, simple, effective, and much appreciated by the kit printers who will now print Trent above Marcelo's iconic number 12, which he inherits for the coming campaign." As reporters dug for details about his future role, his position, set pieces, or his competition with Dani Carvajal, Trent wisely chose caution. "It's my first day, I want to enjoy my presentation," he smiled. Yet, when asked specifically about Carvajal, his response was full of respect. "He's a fantastic player, and I have nothing but respect for everything he's achieved at club and country level. That only comes with hard work and talent." The magnitude of what Carvajal has accomplished is not lost on him. The battle for the right-back position may soon begin, but Trent is well aware that respect comes first. Among his new teammates, he already shares familiarity with Jude Bellingham and has crossed paths with Huijsen during vacations. Tomorrow will bring his first training session at Valdebebas, the first chance to meet the rest of the squad before their tour to the United States. But there's one thought Trent couldn't help but share, one that perfectly encapsulates the privilege of his new surroundings. "It's better to play with Mbappe and Vinicius than against them," he grinned, fully aware that those two superstars will now be his allies rather than his opponents.
Although Madrid reached an agreement with the player as a free agent, they ultimately had to negotiate with the English club to allow him to travel to the United States to play in the Club World Cup. Taking advantage of the FIFA signing window, the player will officially join Real Madrid starting this Sunday, June 1st. Alexander Arnold, Liverpool, 1998, arrives at the Santiago Bernabeu to strengthen a position the club considers key for the immediate future. His arrival comes at zero cost, except for a small fee for the World Cup, after not renewing with Liverpool, the club where he trained and where he has spent his entire professional career to date. With 354 competitive appearances for the Anfield club, Alexander Arnold has established himself as one of the most complete full-backs in Europe. His attacking ability has been one of his hallmarks, racking up 93 assists, a figure that makes him one of the best assist makers in recent Premier League history. His vision, accurate crossing, and ability from set pieces make him a constant threat in the final third of the pitch. He has never received a red card. An England international, Alexander Arnold also brings experience at the highest level of competition, having played in World Cups and European Championships. Furthermore, his close friendship with Jude Bellingham, with whom he shares a dressing room on the England national team, is emerging as a key factor in his rapid integration into both the group and the team dynamic. The signing of Alexander Arnold represents another significant move by Real Madrid in the transfer market, securing one of the most sought-after fullbacks in world football without having to pay a transfer fee. A strategic addition to continue building an ambitious and winning project. It's all part of Real Madrid's strategy of pursuing players whose contracts are up, something similar to what they did with Davies, although the Canadian player ultimately gave in to Bayern's astronomical renewal offer, higher than the one agreed with Madrid. At Valdebebas, they knew that Arnold's deal was a long-term one, with the ultimate goal of ensuring that he didn't renew his contract with Liverpool by any means necessary, something that has ultimately been achieved. The first cover appeared on October 8th, when it was reported that Real Madrid was on the trail of Arnold. On October 17th, Marca reported that the player would not renew his contract with Liverpool, who were beginning to accept the idea of losing one of their most important players. On December 13th, Madrid presented a dilemma: sign or make do with what they have. The injuries to Militao and especially Carvajal's sparked debate about the need to strengthen this winter. Madrid tried, even though they knew it was impossible to sign Arnold. Liverpool wouldn't let him leave. On December 28th, Marca reported that the player's desire is to wear the Real Madrid shirt and that he is willing to take every step to end up at the Santiago Bernabeu, as has finally happened. No defender in the Big Five leagues has provided more assists since his debut. Trent Alexander-Arnold arrives at Real Madrid with a record of 64 Premier League assists. It could be just another minor statistic. However, we're talking about the defender who has provided the most assists since his debut in the 2016-17 season, not only in the English League, but across all 5 major leagues. That's 7 more assists than second-place finisher Andy Robertson, 57, and nearly 20 more than third-place finisher Jordi Alba, 45. The third-place defender in the Premier League is Trippier, with almost half that number, 33. The numbers are even more impressive now, but that's not all. Expanding the sample to include all players regardless of position, he's 4th in the entire Premier League and 2nd in Liverpool. Only De Bruyne, 109, his teammate Salah, 86, and Son Heung-min, 70, have more. And he remains in the top 10, 8th, in the major leagues. Therefore, Madrid has acquired a player with a great ability to gift his teammates with goals. Just look at the shots from which those assists were delivered. Virtually all of them were in central positions, and most were very close to the goal. The Englishman is a true playmaker and chance maker and should help increase the team's threat with his passing. His wide repertoire puts him well above average in all situations, passing into the final third, progressive passes, passing between the lines, beating opponents with vertical passes, switching plays. Of all of them, Alexander-Arnold shows great skill in playing balls behind the defensive line, with almost 2 per 90 minutes. That's quite a lot compared to the rest. Only Ipswich Town's Harry Clarke has done it more often. This resource is a weapon that players like Mbappé can rely on. However, if he should contribute significantly, it's with his crosses. The Whites have had a problem with this resource this season. They've used it very little. It's true that when they haven't had a good finisher. We put in a lot of crosses, but this year we don't have Joselu, a natural striker up front, Courtois noted after the Champions League exit. But they haven't had a player who specializes in delivering measured balls either. His precision allows him to deliver crosses from almost anywhere once he steps into the opponent's half. These are this season's top crosses in all competitions. He'll also be an important player for his long balls, something essential in a team with speedy attackers like Madrid. Players like Vinicius and Mbappé will be as grateful for him as Salah has been all along. Because Alexander-Arnold always looks to launch balls forward. This season, he's the 2nd most progressive player in the Premier League with the most passes per 90 minutes, and the only one who surpasses him is a goalkeeper. And his passes tend to be into dangerous areas. He's the 4th most likely to have played into the final third of the pitch, behind only creative players like De Bruyne and Odegaard, and another full-back with similar characteristics. Alexander-Arnold is much more than just a full-back. Klopp saw this clearly, and that's why he gave him a new role last season. While still being a full-back with attacking intent, he urged him to move inside during the build-up phase to assist the midfielders in their playmaking. This effect, coupled with the Germans' Liverpool-style rock-and-roll style, which favored transitions, allowed us to see Alexander-Arnold at his best on the ball, but at the same time, his defensive shortcomings. Klopp's permissiveness in allowing him to focus on creating plays and chances often left him with space behind him. Things changed under Slot. The Dutch coach modified his style and, without giving up on counterattacks, prioritized more possession. This affected Trent, whom Slot asked to play more as a fullback, a return to his roots. As the graphics below show, Alexander Arnold hasn't been limited exclusively to being stuck on the wing in the 2024-25 season, right field. However, his presence in midfield is noticeably less than in the 2023-24 season. In his farewell campaign at Anfield, the Englishman moved into midfield less frequently. He used to move into more central positions, either to occupy the pivot zone when Liverpool built from the back or, as in the following image, when he was already moving the ball into the final third of the pitch. Good for getting between the center backs to bring the ball out from the rear guard. With Slot, the usual pattern has been something like this. One of the two center backs, in this example Van Dijk, brings the ball out while Alexander Arnold remains on his right flank, practically at the same height as his counterpart on the left. By becoming more of a classic fullback, his defensive performance has improved, something that will give Real Madrid fans pause as they've been bombarded with analysis about how poorly the West Derby native defends. Yes, his numbers are still below the top 5 league average for a player in his position, but there is some improvement. For example, this season his dual win rate has risen from 43% to 48%. In any case, Real Madrid is a team that spends more time with the ball, and their offensive strengths surely offset their defensive shortcomings. Just look at their assist record.